Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I just saw the new teaser for The Last of Us Season 2 and I want to talk about it and break it down with you, so let's get into it. Alright, so before we get into this video, I really want to give anyone an opportunity who has not played part 2 of the game and does not want to have anything spoiled for them to click away from the video. I don't want to ruin anything because this video will contain spoilers for Season 2 of The Last of Us. Okay, so the teaser opens up and we're seeing the direct aftermath of what Joel did at the end of Season 1, where he killed all the Fireflies and rescues Ellie. This is the hospital. We have the sirens going off. This is just exactly from the game. Whenever we meet, well, not when we meet Abby, but when we start to find out who Abby really is. Then we see Abby with her gun, and we know this is a younger Abby because we see her in a minute, and she has the short braid. And I really think this is how the second season, I think this is how it opens. I think this is what we get probably in the I don't know, maybe first 10 to 15 minutes of the show. And then we see where Joel and Ellie are currently. Then we get a sequence where in Jackson, this looks like it's on like the outer wall. We see alarms being raised. It's during a blizzard. There is a blizzard in the early parts of part 2. I think this is probably taking place during that, but I think they're obviously gonna switch things around because Tommy and Joel are out on patrol at this point. At least from what I'm seeing, what I think is this point. Joel and Tommy are out on patrol because we see Tommy and he's here at the wall. He has his sniper rifle, and we saw in the previous teaser where there's a giant horde of infected come in toward Jackson and they're having to protect the wall. That doesn't happen in the game, so I think this is where they've maybe changed some things up, but we'll have to wait and see when the show comes out. Then we get this image of a person dressed in brown with this weapon here, and I think this is introducing us to the Seraphites, or the Scars as some of the characters call them in the game. We see someone in the background that is strung up, and we know they do that in the game, so this may actually be where they even capture Abby. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see, but this is clearly the Seraphites. Then we get to see Jeffrey Wright as Isaac, and I think it's really neat that they brought him back to play his character from the game. I hope that we see more of him in the show because he's a really amazing actor, and he's too good just to have really, really small part. Then we get what's either a person or an infected that is on fire. I think this is probably, I mean, it could be later on when there's the fight between the wolves and the Seraphites, but I don't think so because I don't think we're going to get that far in Season 1. I mean, we could. I don't know how they're going to structure the season, but I think this is more likely an infected, and this is whenever Joel and Tommy and Abby, at least in the game, get to the chalet, and we all know what that means. Then we get this shot of an infected, and I think this is a stalker, just by the way it moves. And I think this is probably when Ellie and Dina are in the grocery store during the blizzard, just before we find out what happens with Joel. Then we get this shot of Ellie and Dina, and they're clearly not in Jackson. There's no snow on the ground, so this must be after they've already made it to Seattle as they're trying to go on their revenge tour. So this could be maybe later in the season. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Then we get Dina and Ellie. This is the dance, the party where Dina kisses Ellie and Joel defends Ellie, and Ellie gets mad at Joel. So that's what we're seeing here. I think this will probably be in the first episode. That's what I would think. But I really can't wait to see this scene. I think it's going to be it's one of the scenes I'm really looking forward to in Season 2.
So here we have another shot that was in the original teaser, the teaser one. And I think this is Joel, Tommy, and Abby after Joel has saved Abby and they're on their way to the chalet when they're being chased by the infected.
And here we have Abby. She's clearly at her father's grave. We see the necklace. I would bet there's a firefly pendant at the bottom of it. That face says a lot. Caitlin Devers is an amazing actress. I can't wait to see how she portrays Abby, but her face does show a lot of rage, and you can understand it when you get to know who Abby is. But I hope they do it differently in the show. I hope we get to learn more about Abby and who she is early. That way, people may not hate her as much as they did in the game. I certainly hope that the actress doesn't get any hate, because, I mean, someone has to play this character, and she's going to do an amazing job. Then we get some high action shots, and this is when Ellie and Dina are in the subway, and they're being chased by the clickers and the infected. You know, there's runners, and did they call them runners in the show? I'm not sure, but here they're surrounded. They're in the train cars, and I think this is right after. Isn't this right after the TV station mission? I believe so. So that's what we're seeing here, and I would bet this is probably about 3 or 4 episodes into the show. At least that's what I would think. Then we get a scene of Joel crying again. This is another kind of recycled shot from the first teaser. I think this is when he's talking to Kathleen O'Hara, who is a therapist, I believe, from what we saw in the first teaser, and she's trying to get him to open up and talk about what happened at the end of season 1. I said episode 1. I meant season 1. And maybe he talks to her instead of Tommy, like we see the conversation at the beginning of part 2. That's what I think we're going to see here. Then we get Joel slamming this heavy door. I think this is probably at the ski lodge, or is that what you call that? Anyway, it's where right after he saves Abby and they are being chased, and I think this is where they go in the game they go in and they have to fight off infected for a few minutes, and then you're able to escape. But I think that's what this is going to be right here. Then we get the shot of Ellie, and the only thing that I can think this is after she's back at Jackson. Maybe she doesn't wake up in the show until she's back at Jackson, and she knows that Joel has died. That's the only thing I can think that this could be, is that she's waking up after being brought back to Jackson, and she's reliving, or she's remembering what happened. Then we have an Ellie working out some frustration. You can tell she's changed here. I think this is Ellie post Joel's death, probably working with the therapist, and she's gonna maybe the therapist will try to talk Ellie out of going to Seattle for revenge instead of Tommy, and Tommy will just go with her. But this is a very raw and hurting Ellie. You can tell by her face. Then we see Tommy with Maria. Tommy is bloody at his eye. We know he gets beaten in the face with a gun. He gets is it pistol whipped? Is that the term? When Joel is killed, he's upset, and we see Maria trying to console him. So I think this is probably the first time they see each other after Joel has been murdered. Then we get the shot of the infected slamming into what I'm assuming is the gate at Jackson, or the wall at Jackson, because we see that scene where Tommy's on the wall and the infected are running toward Jackson. So I think this is probably after Joel's body, Ellie, Dina, Jesse, and Tommy all return back to Jackson. And maybe the infected chase them there, follow them there. Then we get this shot of Ellie with the gun pointing at someone. There's red in the background. If I had to guess, I would say that she's pointing the gun at Nora. Nora is one of Abby's friends. If you don't know, if you don't know and you decided to watch the video anyway, but Ellie questions her very brutally to find out the whereabouts of Abby. And if I had to guess, I would say this is probably right around that point, just from the way things look, if everything follows the game. And then we get the reveal, season 2 in April. Man, it'll be here before we know it. I can't wait. If you like this video and you want to see more of my The Last of Us season 2 content, please make sure that you hit subscribe, like, share, comment. You know the YouTube stuff. Just do all that for me. And guys, I will see you in the next video.